Okay, I think I understand. But where are people gonna get stuff from now on? We don't know yet. Where do you think people will get things in the future? I think people will get things through a computer system, and they will come through a pipe in the wall. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I just don't know. People could just make their own stuff. Stop buying stuff. You see?
Looking for a job? Well, the U.S. has plenty, but not enough people to fill them, apparently.
Across the nation, there's a plumber shortage as baby boomers retire and the supply of newcomers through the pipeline dries up.
So for the last 20 years, we have pushed all of our kids to go to college, get a 4-year degree, whether it was a good fit for them or not.
Tonight, we focus on vocational education. There's a growing recognition of its value for some students.
We've declared war on work as a society, all of us. The way we portray working people on TV, it's laughable. If there's a plumber, he's 300 pounds and he's got a giant butt crack, admit it. You've seen him all the time. That's what plumbers look like, right? We turn them into heroes or we turn them into punchlines.
My name is Will Perotti. I graduated in 2016 with a business degree from Plymouth State University. I now take online classes to become a licensed plumber in the state of Connecticut.
Welcome back. Millions of Americans are now going to work or school from home.
I don't think that our generation is lazy so much as they would rather not get their hands dirty. And I think there's a definite difference between being lazy and not wanting to do a certain type of work. The way we portray this type of work needs to be changed. I work for William Perotti & Sons, Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, a company that my great-grandfather, William Bill, started back in 1928. Currently, I'm our on-call sewer guy, which means I snake sewers when the other guy that also snakes sewers can't make it.
I'm so deeply connected to the seasons. Like what I do in the spring is different than what I do in the summer and fall because that's what this farm calls for and demands. And so having that personal tie to just nature and the world around you, I think it's grounding. You know where you've come from and what you're connected to, and that's intense stuff. I grew up in the same house as my dad. My grandpa moved in and onto this farm in 1949 with my grandma, so we've been here for over 70 years. Our commitments and priorities have remained the same over 70 years. We're here to take care of the land, take care of the cows, and take care of the people that rely on us to provide them a safe food source. My name is Amanda Freund, and I'm third generation on my family's dairy farm here in East Canaan, Freund's Farm. We are one of just about 800 farm families over New York and New England that are members of Cabot. And what that means is that 100% of the profits from this cooperative goes back to farm families like mine. This is also a classroom. This is a place where we can teach so much about life cycles and biology and food systems and the environment. Like, it's all the moving pieces here.
Would you say that you're learning something new every day?
Oh, Lord. As soon as I think that I, get it and I have, a grasp on what's going on here, then there's something new.
That finger is so good and disgusting. That's gross. I'm gonna leave now. So you do you. Don't do it!
Growing up, Dad, can I come to work with you? Dad, can I come to work with you? And he used to say, when you can lift a sheet of plywood by yourself, you can come to work with me. I mean, you can only learn so much in so much time, but you gotta keep learning. Keep looking for knowledge, and that goes back to how to get into this industry. Just keep learning. It's not a bad thing to work with your hands. My name's Evan Haxo. I drive down here every day, and I have a beautiful drive through northwestern Connecticut, and with my dog in the back and hanging out the window, and drive down a dirt road every day, and I love it. You get that nice half hour to settle your thoughts and get that coffee flowing and show up and be ready to make some cool stuff.
I pretty much have been involved in every aspect of building homes, you know, from foundations, block work, brick work. You know, we built entire homes out of cement block, but I always wanted to get into doing finished stuff. So I was always playing around with making tables and stuff like that. But framing, that was like the bread and butter, whatever it took. We gave a price on a house, we'd do the whole thing. Not like a lot of stuff that happens nowadays, you know. Nobody's got patience to wait for one dude to make everything, you know.
You know, we're going to go through a lot of wood now, Ian. So my parents were New Yorkers. They lived in Manhattan for a little while. My mother was in advertising. She excelled in her field. She was a whiz. She was the only woman at the train station in Westport going into New York City. Literally the only woman. You know, I would say technically she was the breadwinner, but she would go in and have to come up with a line. And she would get that line in 3 seconds, but they would pay her a lot of money. So she would come up with 20 lines, not just the one. She was good at what she did. It came naturally, and she loved it. Peter Charles Hill, born a long time ago now. Artist, maker, designer. And that will fill the order. Okay. You know, I always had a restaurant job through college. And then, you know, I saw the people who worked in restaurants, lovely people. But I did not want to be one of those people graduating college and working. I made models. I worked for an architect doing architectural models of his projects. He would photograph it and blow it up, and it would look like what's computerized now, but we did it in 3D. So I have, like, there's a model on the wall up there I made of one of the buildings here, kind of the beginning design. Yes. Well, I started doing carpentry. What was not gratifying about working for someone in a bigger thing was you go in and you do one piece, or you get sent to finish somebody else's work. There's no sense of completion. It's like I'm just a hammerer. I'm not a nail holder. You know, it's just not gratifying. Anyway, so I did it on my own. And that led to, and then I bought a house there and I did my renovation in my house. And I was always advised to have a trade. You know, that as a backup. Our RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg cat-looking clock is an inspiration for all kinds of people. Young people, women, men. She is a popular item out there.
I'm Bill Tingley. I was a general contractor for over 40 years, now retired. I went to college, Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, graduated in 1971 with a BA in theater arts. You know, people said, wow, a theater degree, that's gonna help you out a lot. I think they actually helped a lot because you're definitely orchestrating, and there's definitely a script that needs to be followed, and you must adhere to that script, and you must be ready to improvise when necessary. So there is, there's a lot, and you've got to keep people on their toes. Gradually, the work thing, got married, had children, and I needed the money, and the work thing was bringing in a steady stream of money. It was very cool. I mean, I like the fact that you were working with other people and sort of in a team atmosphere and trying to accomplish something real, you know. As a general contractor, you're really counting on your team, you know. The people that you work with are so important. I mean, as my dad used to say, you're only as good as the people you hang around with, and it's certainly true in the construction business. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Obviously now there's a real shortage of people around. You know, if you had a summer camp for kids who maybe were disadvantaged or didn't have opportunity, if they could go to that summer camp in a nice place and maybe build a cabin or two, you know, while they're doing it, get that satisfaction of actually building something and achieving something together as a team, and had their hands on tools and let their hands really feel what they're doing. You can't do that really with your phone in your hand. The Whole Earth Catalog, which was this manifesto that came out way back in the 60s. And one of the articles in it was written by a UCal Santa Cruz professor who said, the people that know how to do things are going to inherit this world. That always stuck with me a little bit, you know. It's kind of good to know how to do stuff. A lot of stuff I don't know how to do, but you know, at least I'm going to try and get something done.
When I was in high school, the way the systems are set up nowadays, either it's college or bust. And the kids that didn't make it to college were not viewed in the same light as the kids that were. I mean, if I had just gone to school for 4 years and didn't have a job when I got out,
the less people that are in the trade, the more money there is to make as those few people doing the work.
There was a lot of angst and frustration a couple months ago when Mike Bloomberg was still running for president, and there was a clip that was like 4 years old that came out.
I could teach anybody, even people in this room, so no offense intended, to be a farmer. It's a process. You dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. The information economy is fundamentally different. You have to have a different skill set. You have to have a lot more gray matter.
There was a lot of farmers that were so upset by that because they were stunned that their occupation could be belittled like that. The world needs more farmers and electricians and plumbers and painters, and those are the people that allow us to enjoy the daily functions of our own life.
I wanted to be an inventor. That was like my thing. I want to be an inventor, Mom, and I would make all these weird drawings. I had an engineering tract was like my original idea, and during my college search, Allegheny was like one of the last schools I visited, and so at that point I had a pretty good idea of what I didn't want and what I thought I wanted. Sophomore year I took an intro to geology class, and I was like, that's it. That's it. College education definitely opened my eyes to a number of things that I would never have seen elsewhere, and for that it is immensely valuable. While those things aren't directly applicable to my life now, they are a set of skills that you are no longer without, and for the rest of your life you will have those skills. You need to be able to communicate, and I think that is one of the biggest takeaways from a college education is, or at least my college education, which was very focused on being able to articulate your concepts. So I finished it, I got that piece of paper, and it's collecting dust.
It's sad to see less and less kids going to the local trade schools because there is a bigger need for trade employees around here, and you see storefronts that always have hiring signs in, looking for plumbers, electricians, technicians, everyone. My name is Justin Ralph. I'm from East Canaan, Connecticut, and I'm 21 years old, and I'm a mechanic. As a mechanic, I think there's always going to be work. I think, you know, as much as people love to have new vehicles, and as soon as we can afford them, we'd like to make the purchase, there's still older equipment, there's still older trucks, and there's so many wild things you can do in each trade. Not even, you know, just because you're a mechanic doesn't mean you're not working on an airplane, or you're making some custom race car for someone, or, you know, just because you're a plumber doesn't mean you're fixing someone's toilet. You know, you could be building the Empire State Building, you could be plumbing, you know, you could be plumbing anything. People just have to find what they like to do. That's the thing, and they don't want to put effort into. If they don't like something, they just give up and they stop. And you can't. You have to. No matter what, you gotta work hard. It doesn't matter what you're doing, because I mean, to be the best, anything you do, you want to be the best. You know, there's a lot of guys that start off in trades that are business owners, you know, that have 10, 15 people under them that now make a very good living because they started as the lowest man on the totem pole, which sometimes you've got to start there.
I played college football, and in a weight room at a college level, you have to get a certain amount of work done in a certain amount of time. And if you don't, there are consequences. And I take part of that mentality over to the workplace. I think that some of the best mechanics we've ever had work at a certain pace because they have a time clock in the back of their head, and I try my best to do that.
I went to graduate school. I was out of school for 5 years. When I went back to graduate school, I made sure I didn't have to work during that time. I was focused. Life is short. Seize it and do it. Do it now, not tomorrow. You don't have to run up the mountain. Just keep going. Don't stop and pick flowers all day long. Pick some flowers. Keep walking. Doesn't matter how old you are. There are always mentors out there. So Rocky had his lineup, and he had a clock, a simple thing. It was just a round slab with his strawberries on it instead of numbers, and this mechanism in it. Was the simplest thing in the world. And it just, wow, I can do anything with that format. So simple. You know, that's what we're moving towards, is just doing online. Marketing online is the frontier. We have a lot to learn. We really didn't need the business, and now we just want to do that as the business because the stores are closing. They don't, you don't find things the way you used to. The stores that carried American craft have disappeared. Our finished product. Tail is in the box.
I went to Cornell University and graduated in 2006. The fact that I just finished paying off my college degree last year, 2 years ago. So what is that? Do the math for me. 14 years? I think there's a lot of things that people should consider doing if college isn't the most obvious fit that are as wholesome and fulfilling and satisfying and eye-opening that don't necessarily mean taking on $100,000 worth of debt. College is not a one-size-fits-all, and I am appreciative of the opportunity I had to go to college, but it certainly wouldn't have necessarily changed the trajectory of my life. You know, having also had the opportunity to do Peace Corps and to see some of the programs like AmeriCorps has, if I were to have just gone straight into work, I don't know that that would have been the best option. Cows are like 2-year-olds, and if you put peas on that 2-year-old's plate, they're probably gonna push it away. And my cows will do the same thing so that they can get to the grain, and so by adding the water, it holds the grain to the corn, and every bite that cow takes is the same bite, and it's got the same nutritional density.
A bunch of cautious hippos.
For a long time, people would say, oh, you're an artist. What you do is an art. And in some respects, yes, it is an art. But art, I feel, is more of like a free-form thing, where making a cabinet or an entire kitchen to fit into 5 sides, that's like a science. That's like specificity. Maybe the definition of art comes from it being utilitarian or not. I mean, no, you don't need a $50,000 kitchen. That irritates me sometimes when people refer to it as art in that respect. But nonetheless, yeah, it's art.
That's a good question. I mean, art is such a inclusive kind of term, I mean, pretty much anything that's cool is art, if you think about it. So one thing I wanted to say before we end this crazy conversation we've been having is that I really was never about the money. I don't know whether it's because I'm a product of the 60s or it just didn't seem like money was really the goal.
It's all about color. Oh, for many people, not for everybody. needs a woman artist. You are like the inspirational person. It wouldn't get better than her, really.
A year ago, we actually hosted a video crew from our nutrition company for the dairy farm, Cargill. Every 2 weeks, our nutritionist comes and monitors our cow health and diet. And so she asked, do you consider Ed, our nutritionist, to be an artist? And I just I didn't know how to, what kind of question is that? And my uncle, without missing a beat, he says he's nothing short of an artist. He is able to take all these different moving pieces and it's not black and white. You've got to be able to paint with all the colors in your paint kit, and he does that. I think that, when I perceive art for me and what I do here, it's being able to share glimpses of my life through pictures on Instagram and Facebook, because only 2% of the American population is engaged in agriculture. If I don't capture what we're doing here with images that are attractive enough, then I'm missing an audience. I'm missing people that would otherwise want to see what I'm doing.
I appreciate someone that can weld something extremely well, or solder something with extreme neatness, or run a hammer and hit the same point every single time without missing. A carpenter who knows where every single tool is in his belt without even looking. Or a sheetrocker who has that next screw ready to go as he's bringing the gun up. I think that there's certain skills that have an art form because someone has done it for a long enough time and they have perfected that skill.
On some days it feels like an art. It feels like an art. It feels like a bad burden. I don't know. Some days it's really enjoyable. Some days it's fun. Some days it's terrible. Some days you're doing manual labor, but that is what it is. Just the reward of knowing that you helped someone out, completing the job, and knowing it's done and you did it right and you made someone's day, or you helped them get out of a crisis.
It doesn't matter what the actual job is you're doing, because you're going to enjoy it based on the people you're doing it with. It's a lot easier to be in a ditch with somebody than it is to be driving a truck by yourself or doing an office job by yourself. I think being able to share in almost, the misery, which isn't true, but you get to laugh about it. You get to joke about it. You get to talk trash with each other, encourage each other to do a better job. Those are the parts of the job that make it totally worth it.
This is physically challenging work, doing this stuff, and that keeps you in shape and keeping you balanced. That's why we got that log down there. That kind of stuff, that's a key part of my philosophy, is balance. I always say that, but it's true.
Everyone who helped work on the house and make all this possible, we really appreciate it. We're having a Christmas party shortly. Same place, same time. All right, so thanks everybody for coming. Cheers. All right, turn the game back on. Jesus Christ. Step back. Come on. Why'd you do his hands?
We're thinking, by we I mean me, that the thing to do is to talk about a PR campaign for work. Manual labor, skilled labor. Somebody needs to be out there talking about the forgotten benefits. We're talking about grandfather stuff, the stuff a lot of us probably grew up with, but we've kind of lost a little.
I love that you're incorporating this into your thesis for your college degree. Great, good. I'm sure you're.
Not like